Once upon a time, on the other side of town, there was a dark and dingy dog pound. This was the place that the dog catcher brought all the lost dogs he found around the town. These dogs were alone and had no home. In one room of the pound, many dogs are sitting, trying to keep warm and waiting to be fed. The workers at the pound did their best to keep the dogs and puppies fed, but there were so many animals that it was hard. Off in one corner of the room sat a small boxer puppy and his mommy. His name was George. He was only a young pup and was trying to understand what was happening around him. "Mommy, why are there so many puppies and their moms and dads here? Why are we living in this place?" George asked. "We are here because we had no place to live in the town. We wanted to find a home, but we just couldn't find a family that wanted pets in their house." Mom explained to George that there are so many dogs in the world that it is hard for most to find a family to take care of them. "Are we ever going to find a home, Mommy?" George asks. "Yes, I think we will. Just be patient," said Mom. But George wants to know how Mommy knows they will find a home. Mom simply replies that we need to have faith and to believe that there is a place for us all. Mom tells George that it's time to sleep. George is cold, so he snuggles close to his mom. She puts her head on his back and her paw around him. George feels better, but still wonders about the future. As George looks up at his mom, he slowly falls to sleep. For many days and weeks, George would wander the dog pound in search of friends and things to do. Since George was so young, he enjoyed running around the room and playing with his fellow puppies and other dogs. Not everyone was friendly, however. One day, while playing hide and seek with the other puppies, George bumped into one of the older dogs who normally kept to himself. "What do you think you're doing?" growled the old dog. "Why does your mother let you run around like that? Can't you see some of us just want to be left alone?" George just looked up at the old dog and said, "I'm sorry, we were just trying to have some fun." "There's nothing fun about being stuck in a dog pound. The sooner you realize how bad things are here, the better. Now leave me alone." "Yes, sir," George said as the smile left his face. Suddenly, George was very confused. Mom had said that sooner or later, someone would come to the pound and adopt them. Why would that old dog be so nasty, and why does he think everything is so bad? George told the other puppies that he was done playing and that he would see them later. He went to his mom and asked her about the old dog. "He has been here a long time," Mom told George. "He's been waiting and waiting for someone to adopt him, but I believe he has lost hope." "But Mom," George asked, "I thought you said that sooner or later you and I would find a home. It has already been a long time." George then noticed a tear roll down his mother's cheek. "What's the matter, Mommy?" asked George. Mom slowly lifted her head and looked closely into George's eyes. "My dear George," Mom said, "I know I told you that we would find a home, but it's not that easy. Not all dogs or puppies will be so lucky. But you are different, George. You have a bright spirit that the people will love. You are kind to the other dogs and puppies, and you work hard to do your best. Because of this, George, I believe it is your destiny to get away from this place and to find a better life for yourself. It may be too late for me and that old dog, but not for you." George was not sure what Mom was trying to tell him. He was confused and silent. Then he realized what she meant. "You're not coming with me, Mommy?" George asked. "You are getting older now, George. You are such a smart, fun, and strong puppy. I know that somehow you will get out of here and make a life for yourself. You will find your destiny." George's mommy pulled him close. He looked to the sky and wondered, "What is destiny?" As George wakes up to another day at the pound, he starts to wonder about Mom's words. "Mom says I need to get away from this place and find my destiny," George says to himself. "But how? And even if I get out of here, what about Mom?" George decides that he can't wait much longer. He's getting older, and he realizes that the words of the old dog may be true and that he may be stuck here forever. "I need to get out of here," George says. "I need to find a way to get out and to save my mom and my friends from the dog pound." At that moment, George hears a delivery truck pull up to the front of the pound. A delivery man has arrived to drop off this week's food and supplies. He has left the door open. "I wonder," George says to himself. The delivery man walks in and puts down his packages right in front of George. "This is my chance," George says to himself. He hides behind a package. The delivery man walks past the cage door. That's when it happened. George jumps from behind a package and towards the door. While running, he hears his mother shout, "Run, George, run, run as fast as you can." George looks back for a second, then disappears through the door, across the parking lot and into the city. The guard runs out to see if he can catch George, but George has run too fast and run too far. George's mom beams with pride and hope for her son. "Go find your destiny, George. I know you will find your destiny." George runs and runs and runs. Soon he can run no more. As he gasps for air, he finds himself on the top of a small hill that looks down onto the dog pound and the parking lot that surrounds it. George starts to cry. He wonders if he did the right thing. "I know Mom said I should get away and find my destiny. But what is destiny?" George notices that it's starting to get dark. He wanders into a small alleyway and finds some newspapers to use as blankets. He lies down behind some garbage cans and notices that it is becoming windy and cold. As he rests his head in his paws, George looks to the sky. He can hear his mother's words. "George, you will find your destiny. You will find a way." Boxer George wakes suddenly as he realizes his escape was not a dream. He really is on his own for the first time in his life. He is scared, but realizes he must find a way to survive in the cold. He also knows that he must figure out a way to help his mother and the other animals back at the pound. "If only there was a way to find a home for all my friends," he thought. George is hungry. He must find food, but how and where? George has no choice but to wander around the city in the chill of winter. As George walks around, he realizes that it is Christmas season. George walks by a church and can hear the children and adults singing Christmas carols. They all seem so happy. George walks by a home and looks into the window. He sees all the kids and moms and dads sitting at the table enjoying their holiday dinner. There is turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and pumpkin pie. Everyone is laughing and smiling. As George continues to walk, he passes by many stores and shops, all decorated for the holidays. There are colored lights and wreaths and Christmas trees and all kinds of gifts in the store windows. "I guess all the kids in town will have a great Christmas," George thinks to himself. George continues to walk and watch the things around him. Suddenly, he bumps into someone else who is also looking at the decorations. George looks up and is excited to see another puppy. "Hi, I'm sorry I got in your way. My name is Kimberly." George and Kimberly look at each other and immediately know they will become close friends. As George and Kimberly wander the streets, they meet other animals in search of homes. They wish they were pets too. They meet Freddie the ferret and Kitty the cat and a bluebird named Belle. They all become close friends, searching for the same thing. The next night, George and his friends are wandering around looking for food and shelter. A strong gust of bitter wind forces them to huddle together against a dark brick wall. As they stand seeking warmth together, George thinks about his mother. He turns to his friends. "My mom told me that I should escape from the dog pound to find my destiny," George says. But what is destiny? His friends look at each other and shrug their shoulders. They don't know what destiny is either. As George thinks of his mother, he becomes sad, and a heavy tear falls from his face. His friends are also sad. George then looks up at the sky and sees something that most only dream about. It is Christmas Eve. George and his friends see Santa Claus and his sled pass overhead on his way to yet another home to deliver presents to all the good boys and girls. George looks to his friends. It's too bad there is no Santa for pets. As he flies overhead, Santa himself begins to feel sad. He feels that something is wrong down below. "Hey, Rudolph, do you feel that? Do you somehow feel that our job is not done?" Rudolph looks back and replies, "I think you're right, Santa. I feel it too." "Christmas means love, caring, and companionship," Santa says. "I bring love and joy to the whole world, yet something is still missing." As Santa flies through the sky, he looks puzzled. "Where is this unhappiness coming from?" he says to himself. Suddenly, high up in the sky, Santa sees a great big star become very bright. It lights up the night sky in the city below. As the sky brightens, so does Santa's face. He slowly nods his head up and down. He smiles. "I know," says Santa. "The animals of the world have become great friends and pets to families everywhere. There are thousands of animals that have yet to reach their destiny as man's best friends." As Santa Claus continues to think, he sees a vision of poor Boxer George, who wishes only that his mommy and friends could be saved. Santa quickly changes course. He knows just who he's looking for. "Hi, Boxer George," Santa says. "Do you know who I am?" Boxer George looks up in amazement. "Of course I do, Santa." "You came to me in a vision, young Boxer George," says Santa. "Would you please come with me on my rounds tonight?" "I would be honored," George replies. Boxer George and Santa jump into the sled. "I have a job for you, George," Santa says. "I want you to help bring joy to the lives of animals and pets and children all around the world." "Who, me? Why me?" George asks. "Because you are the one who pointed out the error of my ways. You are the one who made me realize that pets are part of the family and that pets have feelings too. You can help me complete the job of spreading joy on Christmas. You see, George, this is your destiny. Because of all the love you have shown others, I want you to be the pet Santa." George can't believe what he's hearing. He's excited but still a bit confused. As George flies off with Santa, he can hear his mother's words. "Go find your destiny, George. Go find your destiny." A year has passed. It is once again Christmas Eve. Santa Claus and Boxer George, now the pet Santa, are getting ready for Christmas night. Boxer George and his pet elves are loading up Santa's sled with gifts for all kinds of pets. There are dog bones and catnip and scratching posts and bird treats and food bowls and pillows and beds for pets. Many are wrapped with fancy paper and bright bows. "George, are you ready with your special list?" Santa asks. "You bet, Santa," George replies. "Let's go," Santa says loudly. Santa, George, and 9 reindeer take to the sky. "This is the day I've been waiting for," says Santa Claus. I finally have my pet Santa to help spread happiness and cheer to all those wonderful animals and pets in the world. Santa and Pet Santa make their first stop on Christmas night. They slip down the chimney and into the house. They approach the Christmas tree in the living room. Santa Claus places many presents under the tree for the boys and girls in the house. They were especially good this year. When Santa is done putting out toys for the kids, he turns to Boxer George. "Isn't this a special stop for you, Boxer George?" "Yes, it is," George replies. George reaches into his bag and places many small and large presents around the Christmas tree. George and Santa Claus look around the room at their work. "Yes, I believe that is just right," says Santa Claus. "We have toys and gifts for our boys and girls and now for our pets as well. Thank you again, Boxer George, for becoming the pet Santa. Somehow, everything feels right this year." Boxer George and Santa smile in agreement. Up the chimney they go to continue their rounds. It is finally Christmas morning. George and Santa Claus have returned to the North Pole. They know they have done their best to spread the joy and spirit of Christmas to all of God's creatures. Back in town, a young family starts waking from a long winter's night. Jane, Susie, and Johnny all look at each other with excitement. They run downstairs to the living room to see if Santa Claus has come. As they get to the bottom of the stairs, they see presents everywhere. One big present stands out in front of the tree. "Can we open our presents?" Jane asks her mother. "Of course, but which one to open first?" "We want to open the big one, please, please, please," the children beg. "Okay," Mom replies. Jane, Susie, and Johnny start opening the big present. Paper and ribbon flies everywhere. As they open the top of the box, they hear something move. The top flies open. It's Boxer George's mommy. The kids and their mom and dad can't believe it. They hug and kiss their new pet. Boxer George's mommy licks all the kids. She has found the home she has always wanted. As Boxer George's mom looks around at her new home, she knows that Boxer George has fulfilled his destiny. Her pride in George is evident as a tear of happiness runs down her face. She always believed in destiny, especially for her son George. She also knows that the love you give is the love you will get. Yes, everything seems right this year. It is finally Christmas for the whole family, including kids and pets, thanks to Boxer George, the Pet Santa.